Hello, friends. Welcome to Audit the Vote PA Newsroom. I am Tony Shoup, CEO of Audit the Vote here in Pennsylvania, and we've got a really special show for you tonight with Joeylynn Masaros from Texas. We're going to share her story. I met her in Texas for Patriot Academy's Constitution Coach Congress that I was in a few weeks back. If you watched Sarah McAbee's interview we did 2 weeks ago, I met Joeylynn and Sarah together in Texas, and I'm just blown away at how the government has attacked both of them, but in different sectors of a civil court for Joeylynn and criminal court for Sarah, but they're fighting the same battle just on two different heads. And I wanted her to get her message out because I think that you guys will. It'll just motivate us to keep going. It'll keep people uplifted and inspired because we are in a serious battle here that everybody knows. But first, let me just get through a couple quick things more election integrity related, since that's how most of you know me that are watching this. First, I want to say thank you to folks that have recently donated. We got a donation that came in from someone in California, $250 donation a couple days ago. Just today, I think I got 2 new recurring donations, people that are willing to give us $20 a month. And I just want to say that's you. I don't want to call out your name because the reason we're a 501c4 nonprofit, Audit the Vote, is so that our donors, if they want to remain private, they can do that. So you don't, it won't be public that you donated to us. So I don't want to call out their name, or I would, because you might not want people to know you're donating to us. But I want to say, if you're watching this, thank you, that your money will be put to good use. We've got a bunch of initiatives going on right now. One of the things we're going to use that for is we're going to write a letter campaign to all of the nursing homes, assisted living, skilled care facilities. We're going to get a letter out to every single one of them across the entire state of Pennsylvania, outlining the law so that the administrator knows what they can and cannot do to protect their most vulnerable voters, so that we don't have the nursing home harvest machine, hopefully, as much as we did in 2020, which our canvassing effort proved, and actually found people in nursing homes all over the Commonwealth who said they don't remember voting, but they had votes cast for them. So it will go to that. And then my incredible partner, Karen Taylor, she is running around the state doing hand count trainings and demonstrations, because ultimately we know that we need to get back to paper ballots counted by hand in order to have a completely transparent electoral process that all Americans can have trust in the outcome. And that's what Audit the Vote's main mission is we are fulfilling, we are advocating for safe and secure elections that are efficient and effective, but also the most important part is maintaining the utmost transparency in the vote counting and the vote reporting process. And that's what we got to get back to. So as much as November is everything's on the line, it's vital how November goes. I'm also looking at it from another lens of thinking my duty as a Christian does not change if November goes to the communist candidate. So I'm thinking generationally for posterity, for my children, in terms of the election integrity battle might change, it might get ugly, or it might get different, but I still have to stay in the fight. I believe this is where the Lord has me right now. And that is my plan, to stay in the fight. And so long-term hand counted paper ballots, no electronics, is where we've got to go. And so we're forging ahead with trainings and putting pressure on counties and getting people to realize that, wake up, we do not have trust in our elections until we go back to paper ballots counted by hand. So all of that to say thank you. And if you consider donating to us, every little bit helps, even if it's $5, $10. If you're able to give us $20 a month on a recurring basis, that would be incredibly helpful. It will go to good use, I promise you. I had a list of everything, so I wouldn't do this. Hand counting. Speaking of hand counting, if you got our email today and are watching this, we are having a hand count training. Karen is going to be running this. She does an incredible job. She's trained over 100 people across the state so far on how to hand count paper ballots. We're working on removing roadblocks at the county level where people say, well, we can't do this because we don't know how. Well, we're going to do a demonstration based on the Missouri method that Cause of America's Linda Rance came up with that shows you how to remove that barrier. This weekend, September the 7th, Karen is going to be doing a Train the Trainers class on the western side of the state. So if you are in Western Pennsylvania, highly recommend looking into it. Joel, my producer, threw up the flyer with a QR code. Details are, just do the QR code, and hope to see many of you there if you're not already registered. It's free. We're not charging. We're asking for a $20 donation just to help cover the cost of the place and supplies, but it's a free event. If you're able and willing to bring some cash with you to donate, it is much appreciated. So I will be there. I will plan to see you guys on Saturday. Last thing I want to announce before I play Joeylynn's introduction video and then we get her on screen and have a conversation. is my next Constitution class. What kicked this whole party off for me and Karen was fall of 2020. We took a Constitution class through Patriot Academy's Constitution Alive. It was one of their first, if not the first, national class that my coworker Scarlett Lanny did with Rick Green, and it blew our mind, absolutely blew our mind. Had tens of thousands of people on the class. Patriot Academy has exploded ever since, but that was the catalyst essentially for Karen and I to realize that when something went wrong in 2020 in Pennsylvania, we knew based on that class, it was our duty to do something. And I can tell you, she will tell you this too. There's no way that Audit the Vote would exist today if it wasn't for Patriot Academy's Constitution Alive. And of course, Joeylynn, as she tells her story, she is a Patriot Academy Constitution coach as well, and is doing classes all over her local area, in addition to fighting the weight of the federal government. It is phenomenal. But my next class, 6 weeks, Constitutional Alive. Join me Thursday nights, September 26th. Wow, that's a big QR code, Joel. I love it. Thursday night, September 26th is the start, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's all via Zoom. It's 2 hours a week for 6 weeks. We're going to go through the election so we can hold one another up and build community and stay connected. The QR code is how you sign up. It is completely free. We used to charge when we were trying to raise money for Audit the Vote with it. But since I work for Patriot Academy now as the regional ambassador, it's free. So just register, join us. You will be blown away by how much you learn. It is incredible what that curriculum is doing nationwide for waking up the nation and equipping them with the intellectual ammunition they need to save the republic. Some dude in the chat saying, pray for Tom Carroll. I love Tom Carroll. I know that he's under attack. He's actually one of my attorneys in the defamation lawsuit against Josh Shapiro. So some dude, I will have to connect with him, because pray for him tells me I need to give him a phone call. Thank you for that. All right. So Constitution class, QR code, September 26th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Join me. You have no idea how much you don't know until you get into this class. And then you're like, holy cow, we can do this. We got to educate a nation. With that being said, I'm going to ask Joel to cue up Joeylynn's intro video so you get a little bit of taste. If you've never heard of this girl before, like I can't believe, first of all, that her and I had not crossed paths, or I hadn't heard her story until I met her in Texas just a few weeks ago, because Rick Green has had her on his Front Porch Live, which was Patriot Academy's show prior to the Tavern. He had her on his Front Porch Live, and I was following him. I don't know how she didn't hit my radar, but her story is incredible. And when I heard it, I thought we got to get that out. So Joel, if you want to cue the video, and then we'll bring Joeylynn on screen.
This is Joeylynn Masaros. I'm a stay-at-home mom in New Braunfels, Texas. My husband, Robert, is a plumber. Just like many Americans, we enjoy exercising our constitutional rights, especially our First Amendment right to exercise free speech. You might remember in 2020 during early election, when the Biden-Harris campaign bus drove through New Braunfels, Texas. There was a viral video of a Trump train driving alongside of them, and we were proud to show our support for President Trump. 8 months later, we found out that we were getting sued in federal court under the Ku Klux Klan law of 1871. Triggered Democrat politicians, Biden-Harris campaign staff, and members of the White House cabinet were on the bus and are claiming they're traumatized from our presence next to them and suing us for emotional compensation. They claim we premeditated assault with a plan to ambush the bus and run it off the road, but that never happened. These malicious and frivolous lies are costing our family hundreds of thousands of dollars in the federal court system. We need your help to fight back to defend free speech, not just for our family, but for all Americans. We believe God has called us to this opportunity as a chance to stand up and defend free speech for all Americans, whether we agree or not. So rather than believe that we're being picked on by these Democrats that are suing us in federal court, we see this as a great opportunity to stand up and defend free speech. But we need your help. It takes a lot of money to do this. We have already cashed out our 401k, our savings account, and our child's future fund, just so that we can defend our family's name. We want to be able to hold the left accountable for weaponizing the law system against average Americans, just like you. They think they picked on us, but they don't realize that we believe God chose us as an opportunity to stand up and fight for what's right. You can join our fight to defend free speech at freespeechdefender.com.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. All right, girl. There she is. Welcome, Miss Joeylynn. She's watching that video getting teary-eyed. Let's let her rip, lady. Thank you for taking the time to do this. It is so good to see you again, and I wish I could give you a hug, and it's just awesome to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much for giving us a voice. I didn't expect to get emotional. I usually don't. It was really, I haven't seen that video in a couple of years. Actually, I know it's on our website, but I made that video in either 2021 or 2022. And Tony, we have fought so hard and come so far since then. And God has done some amazing things that I never could have imagined. And it couldn't be truer that I believe that God picked us for this fight. And it becomes more evident every day. Thank you for giving us a voice to tell our story.
Of course. I can't believe, like I said, that we hadn't, there's her website. So if you want more information, freespeechdefender.com. She's going into trial on September the 9th. So next week, trial, September 9th. She's going to battle for all of us and holding up the First Amendment because, so tell me, first of all, I mean, your story is incredible. There's so many different, well, I'll interject and ask some questions and really pull out what I think my audience would benefit from the most. But what I want you to do first is talk about pre-2020 and kind of how you got to this point where you got sued. But what you have a story very similar to mine, which I find fascinating.
So, yes, you know, it's crazy to me because I never expected to be a free speech advocate or a warrior or a fighter for basic rights. Because I was completely disconnected, unengaged, uninvolved, and not paying attention to what was going on in the world around me. Politics was not something that was discussed at the dinner table at my house growing up or as an adult with my own family. And it wasn't discussed in my friend group. And it was not until 2020, I think it was the summer of 2020, that my friend group was talking about voting for Joe Biden because Donald Trump was such a racist. And my dad was mentioning how important this election was and that I needed to vote for Trump. He had told me in 2016, vote for Trump because Hillary's crazy. And then in 2020, he's like, you got to vote for Trump again. The only times I'd ever voted, Tony, was in 2016 for President Trump and then 2020 for President Trump.
Note to self parents, talk to your kids about politics. Okay, keep going.
Note to parents, please. And like you and I discussed at dinner when we were all together for the Patriot Academy Coach Congress, that local elections are where the meat is. That is how you change the nation. I think you said in your personal testimony and presentation that we're building from the bottom up, that change does not start in the White House, it starts at your house. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's so true because I'm seeing the significance of fighting at city council and look at these local elections and how they impact our towns, our local government, our state government, and then the nation. I'm getting off track. I want to get back, but
you're right. That's where we lost it. Local,
that's where we lost it and where we have to gain it back. And none of this stuff, I knew none of this stuff. And so when my dad said, you need to vote for Trump, I just interjected in my friend group conversation one day. They were all talking about how they're going to vote for Joe Biden and Trump is a racist. And I said, well, actually, Trump isn't a racist. I'm going to vote for Trump. So
how did that go over?
Exactly. I had never experienced cancel culture. I'd never experienced any kind of progressive politics. And so I was greeted with, oh my gosh, you racist. You have to sit there in silence and apologize for your white privilege. You're no longer able to weigh in on this conversation. It was the craziest thing that had happened. And so I went home and told my husband, I'm really not sure what happened at the coffee shop, but I had to sit there in silence while everybody else continued a conversation. And my son, who was 9 at the time, is like, Mom, you need new friends. And yes.
9-year-old, that's it.
In the wisdom. And I was so convicted, Tony, as a mom. I'm like, I should be telling him, I should be an example to him as to hanging around the right people. He should not be telling me that I need new friends. I need to pull it together. And so we noticed this Trump train is what our town called it. Other cities might have called it a caravan or a parade or a convoy, but this assembly of vehicles with Trump flags and American flags on the back, you know, driving around in single file parade through town, essentially campaigning for President Trump. And we thought it looked fun. People would go out in our town with lawn chairs, signs, and pom-poms and wait for this Trump train to come through. And we thought that might be a great place to make some new friends. And so we started joining our local Trump trains, tailgating in a sense. I mean, we weren't doing tailgating in the sense of drinking beer and barbecuing, but you pull up in a parking lot, you've got all your Trump gear, you're talking to everybody, making new friends, buying fun t-shirts,
Like
registering
living a
people to
normal,
vote.
cool life like normal people do. It's great.
Right, exactly. It's like this whole new world. I'm like, wow, what, register people to vote? That's kind of cool, and so it was our first exposure to this new world, and then understanding more and more what these policies that Trump stood for were and how they aligned with us as Christians. As we were still not Bible-based Christians, we were very much in a progressive church that, when we got sued, did not want to come alongside of us. In fact, they didn't want us to talk about it at church. They said that we don't do politics here. You're not going to be able to bring that up. There's not anything we can do to help you. We were essentially shunned from this church to the point of feeling like we weren't even welcome to come back. And so this journey was...
Back up 1 second.
Yeah.
So what month are they suing? Like,
okay.
Time? Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. So progressing up to the point of when the Biden-Harris campaign bus would drive through New Braunfels, Texas. This bus came through October 30th, 2020. I think we started doing Trump trains in early October. So we had been dipping our toe into this world of politics for 3 weeks, maybe, when this Biden-Harris campaign bus drove through town. And we had noticed that we'd been on the news several times because of the size of the Trump trains. There were thousands of vehicles that would turn out. And we thought, how fun would it be if we went and drove on the road at the same time as the bus? I bet President Trump would see it. How cool would that be if we got his attention? And so, this was very last minute, Tony. I think we saw a Facebook post around noon, and the bus was coming through around 2 or 3. And so my husband happened to be home because he had just gotten his tonsils removed a few days before. At the time, and at the time our son was in public school. I was not a homeschool mom. I thought that I needed to work to bring value to our home. I was not, I was drinking Starbucks, shopping at Target. I was just, a regular, average, checked out American that's trusting the public school system with my kid.
A regular checked out American. We need checked in Americans.
That's right. But we were just kind of experiencing this new counterculture, right? And kind of liking it. And so we did not know anybody there that had showed up that day. There weren't any of the friends that we had made. There were maybe 40 vehicles that had lined up on the access road and were sitting on the tops of their cars, waving their flags, waiting for this bus to come through. And we just lined up right behind them and waited for the bus to come through. And we drove next to it. I would love to say something more exciting happened. That's it. They claimed that our exercise of free speech gave them emotional damage and that we were synonymous with white supremacists because we resembled the Ku Klux Klan on horseback, hooded in the dark of night. These are direct quotes from their civil complaint, which they have filed under the Ku Klux Klan law, which is an 1871 civil right law, in federal court. And they have managed to push this through the judicial system for 4 years because we have an Obama appointed judge.
Stop 1 second. So Joel, if you can pull up her website to show some pictures.
Yes.
Because there's pictures on your website that day of you waving.
Yes, ma'am. That would be what they describe as an ambush, as being hooded like Ku Klux Klansmen in the dark of night. Would be us standing outside of our vehicles, waving and smiling in broad daylight.
My producer loves your husband's handlebar mustache, so huge kudos.
Thank you. The left will make fun of him for it, and I'm like, there is no way to insult that. Like, you can try all day, and he still comes out looking like $1 million with that mustache.
They're supposed to be the side of inclusivity, and we coexist. Like, you're gonna make fun of a guy with a mustache?
I know. Nothing screams inclusivity quite like the way the left tolerates conservatives. It might be under media, Joel. Try media and then scroll down past the interviews. I think there's a photo gallery.
Very good. Thank you for hanging with us, Joel.
Yeah, thank you, Joel. Sorry, the web. Yeah, there it is. So you can see, scroll down a little bit more. There will be one of us waving on the side of the road, single file by our vehicles. A little lower. Oh yeah, show more. We're almost there, Joel. I know we're close.
Almost there. I just want you guys to see. They have pictures. This is what they were doing, and they got. I don't know.
In the center, Joel. Yeah. So this is the ambush. Like
a normal Trump train anywhere.
Oh yeah. And And this is the definition of an ambush is to be hidden and out of sight in some secret location and to surprise attack.
Now, did you guys know that the Biden bus was coming through? Because, by the way, this is legal. We're allowed to protest. This is our First Amendment right, by the way, to protest and free speech and assemble. Yep. It is okay if the Biden bus was coming and they planned this protest. We're allowed to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought this up because that's actually what I was doing at Patriot Academy's Coach Congress course was I was wanting to learn how to address this in legislation because they're using this Ku Klux Klan law against us, saying that we conspired to intimidate minorities from voting, like the Ku Klux Klan would conspire to physically harm, injure, kill, and restrain minorities from voting. And so I'm like, okay, we've obviously got to define conspiracy under the Ku Klux Klan law because the First Amendment says we have a right to petition, this free assembly, you know, and a redress of grievances, all things that are required to plan. That does not equal conspire or conspiracy. And so we've kind of got some contradictions in this law with what our First Amendment secures that comes from God. All of which, or rather none of which, I knew when I got sued, Tony. I didn't even know I had a right to free speech. Didn't know it.
When they shut down, I woke up in 2020. I had no clue. Like the government can't come down and tell you can't have people in your home. You can only gather. Right to assemble. 5 freedoms of the First Amendment, direct violation. And most of the nation was checked out and asleep and didn't even recognize it. And I was poster child for it. I was first one there. So
amen.
How did you find out you were being sued? Like how did that go down? Because that had to be interesting.
It was a while. It was 8 to 9 months after this. I will say that day it did go viral. Us wanting to get President Trump's attention, it happened. He tweeted about it. He said, I love Texas with a video of it that would later be used against him in his impeachment trial, saying that we were a precursor to the insurrection. It would also be used against him later in the 14th Amendment hearing where they were trying to keep him off the ballot in Colorado, saying that he incites violence and political extremism against his political opponents and is inciting insurrections and not fit to be on the ballot. And so the same
conspiring. Does it look like the government's conspiring a little bit?
Right. Great question, because the same expert witnesses that have been hired to portray us as political extremists, threats to democracy, Christian nationalists, you know, the list goes on and on, white supremacist tendencies, are the same expert witnesses that are testifying in these trials saying he's not fit to be on the ballot. It's like they're creating the narrative and the story. They're substantiating it with their own false lies, and they're meddling in presidential elections, and the American individual, the average American, is the collateral damage. And so, you know, through this 4 years, it's just shocked our socks off. I'm sorry, I don't think I answered your question. Oh, how we found out we were getting sued.
Yes, walk me through what that felt like. Like, I can't even imagine that.
It was insane because it was out of sight, out of mind. I mean, the media blew up that day. We were hearing people like Whoopi Goldberg say we were emboldened racist bigots that had crawled out from under our rocks. First, we'd fly Trump flags next to the Biden bus. Later, we would be burning crosses in people's front yards. This was what The View was saying about us. It was blowing my mind because I told you I had no idea what cancel culture was, what mainstream media. I'm like, why are they lying about us? Why would they say those things? Why do I understand what's happening? All we did was drive down the road and support Trump. I had no idea how this man was his target for the left. And so that sizzled out and died down, and we kind of went back to life as normal. And then the summer of 2021, 8 months later, I got a phone call from a friend who said she was watching CNN and that I was all over the news that I was getting sued. So I had no idea I was getting sued. I'm at the pool with my kid on a picnic blanket with one of my friends. And this call comes in, like I'm trying to eat my peanut butter and jelly and watermelon. And then I was like, my whole body went cold. I'm completely panicked. I'm aware now of what has happened to individuals at January 6th. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to throw me in some sort of prison and take me away from my child. Because
I have any idea of the date. What I'm just because I'm nostalgic. Any idea of the date? It's okay if you don't.
It was in June. It was middle of June of 2021. Okay. And then in July, it was July 4th weekend, which is significant. We got served the paperwork. It was actually on 4th of July that somebody came and said, I was on a boat. I was, on the lake trying to have fun. And they said, you had to have this today. I am so sorry. I didn't actually want to give this to you. And he handed us a 62-page civil complaint. And I did not realize the difference between a criminal matter or a civil matter. And so I was not understanding what I was reading. I called my neighbor, who's one of my best friends. She's an amazing human. She's 72 years old. She's got a sharp brain. And so I'm like, Sherry, what am I looking at? What is this? And she's flipping through it. I can see her brain working, like that meme that has like the math numbers and the equations. And I can see her looking, and she's like, they can't do this. You have free speech. And I'm like thinking to myself, what is that? And how do I figure out what that is?
Yes.
And that is how I found Rick Green at Patriot Academy.
Oh.
And
so
so
you live really close to Fredericksburg, where the campus is going up, right?
I live so close. I believe that is such a blessing from the Lord. And I want to be spending all my free time there after this trial is over. But I had no idea who he was. I had never heard of Patriot Academy. I'm posting about the lawsuit with the new friends we made in the Trump train. And they're like, one of them said, you should contact Rick Green with Patriot Academy. He is a constitutionalist, and I bet he would help. And so for me, I didn't even know what the Constitution meant for me. When my neighbor said you have a right to free speech, I Googled, what is my right to free speech? I didn't know where to find this information. It is so pathetic, Tony. Like it is, I am ashamed of it, but I think me confessing it, probably not to this audience, your audience is probably highly educated, but I think confessing it to regular people, I think they feel a little bit more normal, because many people don't know this. I'm
Googling it now just to see what it
says.
Well,
and you kind of have to dig to figure out, like, well, what is the Constitution? It took me, I think, another year to figure out what the Bill of Rights were, while we're confessing things. So, my friend said,
I was referring to the Pennsylvania General Assembly as Congress for a good 6 months into our petition. Totally. Sign our petition. We are going to get the bottom of this. And I'm calling it Congress. And someone corrected me. And I was like, oh, my word. I have so much to learn.
That's how you probably heard me say it at Patriot Academy. I learned backwards best. I use the analogy that if you sit in front of a television and watch Spanish long enough, you kind of start to pick some of it up. You and I have that passion where we just like run into the fray and we'll figure it out later.
Yes. Just do something. I don't know what we're doing. Just
yes.
go.
Amen. So I reached out to Rick Green and I said, I understand you're a constitutionalist. This is a free speech matter and we need help with this because we didn't do anything wrong. That's about as much as I knew to articulate. And I didn't hear back from him. I emailed him again. It was very desperate. It was like, sir, please. I have applied to so many First Amendment rights nonprofits to help me, and nobody wants to pick this up. I need help because I want to fight this, but we don't have the money to do it. And he, still no real response. I think I maybe got like a, we'll look into it. And I think I emailed him back and was like, sir, I need to know now if you can help me. I cannot do this unless you help me. It is imperative.
Persistence pays off, people. That's the lesson.
Yes.
Right here. Persistence. They didn't get back to me one time. Keep trying.
Amen. And the reality is that good people are busy. They're stretched way too thin. It is not that they don't care. It's not that, but he did confess later that he was a little concerned and apprehensive that there was,
because there's a lot of crazy people. We do have to be like, all right.
And then I'm, talking about the Ku Klux Klan law and, but his wife, Kara, was like, Rick, we got to do it. And so they had me to their house, Tony, and I filmed Front Porch Live at their home on their porch.
And when was that?
That was in like August of 2021.
That explains why you didn't cross my radar, because I didn't start following his Front Porch Live really closely until the closer the election. When I took the Constitutional Live class in September is when I started really following him. So that explains how I missed your radar. I wasn't watching it back then. Okay.
Right. Well, and he's telling me, I'm sitting there next to him and he's like, so we're talking to Constitution coaches and people who really, and I'm just like, whatever that means, I don't know who these people, what sounds like a great group to me. It would not hit me until 3 years later, like now that I'm teaching classes, what that means and how much those people would have cared and why they would have cared so much, why he was telling me the audience that was listening was so crucial to our fight. And that 1 hour, Front Porch Live raised nearly $12,000 from these Constitution coaches, Tony, for our fight. That was the first chunk of money we got, and we thought, we can do this. We can do this. And since then, we have raised almost $300,000. And it has been from the help of regular, average American people. You can see there are fundraisers at $293,000. And that comes in $10, $20, $50 at a time by doing stuff like this, because mainstream media slandered us. Conservative media isn't covering us. First Amendment rights nonprofits aren't stepping in. Our elected officials don't want to touch it with a 10-foot stick, don't want to talk about it, don't want to help us raise awareness. But
share
we know.
I didn't say that. Share this, share this, share this.
Yes.
We are the voice. We are the media. We are the people. Get this out there. And
Amen.
Then at some point, I want you to go back to the Patriot Academy website, and I just want to show you what Joeylynn and I signed up to do. So go to programs up there. So if you want to, what the heck are we talking about? Constitution Coach right there. And you can, for free, sign up and start watching these videos and learning yourself. So if you've never been through my class or you've never taken it, it's this simple. It costs you $0. Just sign up to be a coach, and you can watch all the videos and educate yourself. These are events.
If I could just insert here again, I was still, even after knowing Rick, I was still Googling and trying to learn how to defend myself, what my rights were, where to find them. Where I did not realize this resource existed, and that all I had to do was take it for free and learn it. And when I finally, in reverse,
there, licensed coach, subscribe. It's that easy, and you'll have access to everything you need.
Well, and I taught my first class never having done a class. So nobody feel like you have to be a pro to start. You just learn right alongside with everybody else. I played the wrong video the first week for a different class, and everybody loved it. And we're like, great, well, we'll just start next week and we can bring friends with us. So, I mean, I tried to mess it up 10 different ways and I still couldn't. People love this life-changing information, and it has equipped us to defend ourselves and every other American in federal court.
So, and here's another best part, which I'm going to look, since I actually work for them now, I can look on the back end. When Joeylynn found Rick and I took the class, there was about 1,000 of us at these different varying degrees of levels that were hosting classes, that were quote unquote coaches. Now you can see there's upgrades, because if you want to get discounts, you want to do more with it, you can, but you can make an impact with just the free coach license. You don't have to do those other things. It's just there because they got to keep the lights on too. But where was I going with that? Oh, we're probably, I'm going to confirm it in a second, crossed over 29,000 coaches today. And there was maybe 1,000 of us back in 2020. 4 years later, they went from that small amount to today. And I'm going to confirm it as soon as I get it on. But I think that's so cool, because I'm watching it all day, waiting for it. I love seeing numbers pop. So I've been like waiting for the number to pop over.
That's incredible. It's incredible how many people don't know, like you said, what they don't know. And when you learn and you obtain this wisdom, there's this beautiful mix of emotions. It's frustrated, like you're frustrated you didn't know this. You're compelled, how do I get this information to other people? You're angry, like, how did they hide this from me? And how did I not know this? You're excited because it's beautiful, it's powerful, it's inspirational. I mean, it's life-changing to go through these courses. And when I was hosting this class, I had people telling me this was the best part of their week. They could not wait to get here.
We did it. We're at 29,003. Yeah.
Incredible. So I'm so proud to be one of those.
Exactly. And look at this. This is my point. She's one. I'm one. A lot. It's just a bunch of ones that are all doing their part and passing the torch. And that's what Patriot Academy is all about. I love that Joe has this. If you want to take a class, click on find a class. This is literally all the classes right now from coaches like us who have decided, yes, we want this to be public. Put it on your website. This doesn't even scratch the surface of how many people are actually doing classes. This is just ones that you can attend. So,
Amen. There's so much opportunity here. There's literally no excuse. And if you can't find a class that doesn't work for you, host a class. Even if one person comes. And I invited my pastor. He was not able to come due to the night we were having it, but I asked him, hey, can I sponsor you to buy this curriculum? I think it's like $30 to buy the whole course and have access to it at your fingertips without signing up, with a group.
Right. That was you can get DVDs or thumb drives if you don't want to do the free thing. So you can stream it. Okay.
That's right. And so he took it and it changed everything biblically focused as where, it intersects with civics. And so now this last Sunday, he started a biblical citizenship sermon series where he's incorporating biblical citizenship into what he's teaching the church between now and the election. And after we get through our trial, I'm going to actually host biblical citizenship for our church and open it up to the community to be hosted at our church campus. So I am thrilled because, as you know, most of the issue in America are unwilling pastors, churches that are not willing to get involved or say that they don't do politics or this lie of separation of church and state. And so for us having left a church that wanted nothing to do with us to finding a church now that's incorporating this into their sermon series and allowing us to teach it and reach the community there, God is faithful. What a beautiful full circle opportunity.
Now, let me ask this, though. Was it super easy to get your current pastor on board, or did that take a little bit of effort?
You know what? God has been working in this man. So it was nothing of mine. It was all the Lord. It was basically our pastor knows what we're going through and he respects our tenacity and he breathes life into us, prays over us and encourages us. And while he's learning and seeing us learning, we're feeding off each other. He's like, tell me more about what you're learning. I want to know more about that. And as he's learning it, he's like, I have the responsibility to teach this to other people. So I believe that God is working in our pastor and our church in a different way than what I've experienced with other pastors in my community, because I have been very involved in fighting the sexually explicit books in the children's library, the public school system, and going before city council, every city council meeting and the library board, and trying to get pastors from every church involved to care about this matter. So I've gone to the churches in our community. I've gone to the pastors. None of them want to get involved except maybe 2 or 3. And we've got about 150 churches in our small town. And meanwhile, we've got 13 LGBTQ plus pastors that show up wearing their rainbow collars and their rainbow pastors, whatever. It's like the church thing that you wear. I know what
you're talking about. Yes. I don't know what it's called. But
so they show up to city council wearing that stuff, lesbian pastors wearing this stuff, saying we want our children to have access to this pornographic content because otherwise we don't feel safe to live here. And everybody should be able to read what they want to read. It's free speech. And I'm like, oh, it certainly is not. And so I'm like, hey, pastors, these pastors are here at city council. They sure don't have a problem with separation of church and state. Y'all are afraid to touch it. Meanwhile, our children, the family unit, what falls under your jurisdiction as a pastor and a man of God, are getting railroaded by this agenda. And you're sitting back because you don't think it's your job. And that's the majority in our town. So it's very difficult, really, to get people involved. They will make the excuse that they're too busy. They're running their churches like a business. They're afraid they're going to lose customers. And so that's the problem.
I don't disagree, but I wanted to encourage my audience that don't give up on those people.
Amen. Pray for them. God moves the hearts of the people that he has put into these positions. And so pray for these people and do not relent.
But then find a church that will make an impact.
Amen.
Right?
Amen. Yes.
But like you left, clearly you got sued. You left your church because they weren't going to help you like at all, period. So we got to do something.
No, that's right. And we have found, Pastor Rob McCoy from Godspeak in California learned about our story on Flashpoint, which Rick Green connected us to. And when he heard about our story, he was so moved that he flew our family to California to give our testimony on stage and to compel his audience and his congregation who has a love for biblical citizenship. They watch him, lead the way during the pandemic in 2020. They have filmed biblical citizenship at his church. Scarlett hosts it there. But still, he wanted them to see it really happening and playing out in an average American's life and what it looks like to support them when it happens. And so these are the pastors. These are the ones that are making the waves, influencing the congregations and affecting our society. And I think that we have the potential to bring that into our churches, again, from the bottom up, and pray over our leaders and like you said, to be persistent. They need to see and understand and to know what they're believing is a lie, and it's rendering them useless and ineffective.
The other thing too, I want to point out, I was on the phone with one of my colleagues in Pennsylvania the other day. Like, we don't know what they have planned for November. We see everything going on, and I get this question all the time. Do you think Trump's going to win? Well, first of all, my cause really is not candidate specific, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's just about making sure that who the voters picked is who ends up getting sworn in.
That's
Period.
good.
Case closed. and proving to us with paper ballots counted by hand that you can do that, which they can't currently do. So now looking at the climate as a person, I'm obviously more conservative, and the other side is just flat communist now. So I don't know how you differentiate and you don't pick those sides. But what's going to happen in November? I don't know. I look at the climate and think, I don't know how anybody could vote for this clear difference, especially with the RFK coming on board, Tulsi Gabbard, all the things that Trump, he's pulling all those people in the middle with every trick up his sleeve. However, I know how vulnerable the systems are. And I know, and you and I both know what they're capable of. I mean, look what my point of bringing you on, look what they're doing to regular people. Amen. That guy that served you the lawsuit that says, I'm sorry, I had to get off my boat and do this, was probably just doing his job. That enough is enough, because we're all just doing our jobs while they're coming after regular people like you, clearly. Yep. Amen. And if we don't get out of that mindset and be willing to risk it all like our founders did, our kids are going to be in boxcars.
That's right.
Facts. So I don't know.
The church just sings over the sound of the
kumbaya, everything's fine. Just go study Nazi Germany, letter of the American church, all of that. It was the same thing. So Amen. All of that to say, no matter what happens in November, I don't know what they're going to pull. That was a week before the election that they pulled all that media stuff. Don't think they're not going to pull something again. And our side, or just sane human beings, need to I hate to say our side, because we're just sane human beings. Stay level-headed and cool-headed and peaceful, and just stick to your First Amendment rights. Know what the Second Amendment is for, so that you can defend yourself and your family if the time comes for that. But don't fall for whatever crap they're going to pull that are going to make people panic, not want to go out and vote, whatever that is. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I don't think there's any way they're just going to sit back and go, oh, well, I guess we lost. Shucks. Like, that ain't happening. So, and I don't think anyone has that answer, what November 5th is going to look like. But you just proved to me, you said October 30th is when you guys had Trump caravan, and look at the media.
And that was in the media for 3 weeks. 3 weeks it was in the media. They dragged it out from October 30th through election day, beyond, when everything was, up in the air.
And Texas, the Texas lawsuit that we all thought, like, yes, this is it. All these states are disenfranchising the rest of them because their state legislatures violated election laws. And I remember when that lawsuit came out, that's when I was starting to hone in. I was like, Texas, yes, do that.
I remember that too. And speaking of timing, we're 4 years into this, Tony. We're going to trial on September 9th. And it's expecting to take weeks. And so we're coming into another election. Isn't that interesting how that timing goes? And I know that it's by design to be leveraged in the media in the exact same way that it was 4 years ago. I also think that it's interesting timing wise. I mentioned July 4th weekend was the weekend that we got served. I find it, I don't believe in coincidences, but this year on 4th of July holiday, we received word that the key plaintiff wanted to drop the case. And so I'm thinking, really? So
the key plaintiff who's filing the complaint, because a lot of people I don't know, plaintiff, defendant, what the heck is that? So this is the person that has filed the complaint said this July 4th, 2024, we want to drop the suit.
Yeah. So like the evening of July 3rd, it came through. I think I saw it on July 4th. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, what has happened in the last 3 years, the last 4 4th of Julys? This individual, thank you for pulling that up, Joel. So you can actually, you can't really see it here. There's a picture of the plaintiff wearing a Gay is Good shirt, and he's pictured next to his drag queen husband. They are business partners with RuPaul, and they have a rainbow bus that they transitioned, but with a trans designer who transitioned the bus, painted it into a rainbow, and they stocked it with 10,000. Yes, there it is.
That's the plaintiffs?
That's one of them in the Gay is Good shirt. That's Dr. Eric Cervini. And so you can see our civil complaint pop up on the screen. And so I'll keep speaking while that just kind of plays in the background so you can just see some of the images there. But yes, he and his husband, who's pictured there in the dress, they have this business partnership with RuPaul. They have one of the largest LGBTQ plus bookstores in California. They stocked this bus with over 10,000 sexually explicit and pornographic books and drove that bus through the United States, targeting areas where parents were trying to remove these sexually explicit books from the children's sections of their libraries and schools to protect children from pornography and self-harming books. And I start talking about that on my social media. I start saying they don't have emotional damage, guys. They don't want us to say we don't like that coming into our towns, and they don't want us to say something about it without fear of getting sued or bankrupted. They're squashing and chilling free speech rights, right? Like, this is the actual problem. This is what's going on here. They're interfering with the election. They're circumventing the Constitution. They're chilling free speech rights. And then they tried to force us to settle. They filed a motion with the judge to force us to settle after they had gotten other defendants to settle and apologize. They wanted us to do the same thing. And we said, absolutely not. We're headed to trial and you're coming with us. And then when the judge, yeah. So to clarify, we could be done with this. We could have bowed to the woke mob. We could have kissed the rings of the king. We could have said we were sorry. We could be finished. We could have cut the bleed, but we said, no, on principle, this is wrong. We're going to court and you're coming with us. And he dropped his case. And we objected to that and said, no, you're coming with us. You don't ruin somebody's life for 4 years and then say, never mind, and walk away. Now, the judge did rule in his favor. He has been dropped from the lawsuit. We move forward with the other 3 plaintiffs or people bringing the case. And that includes former state senator Wendy Davis, who ran for governor against Greg Abbott. She is a senior advisor to Planned Parenthood. And the bus driver and Kamala staffer in the White House, David Jins. And so we're headed to trial with them. And to quote our attorney, we plan to use their own quote unquote evidence against us to prove their lies, to vindicate ourselves, and to defend free speech rights. Because, Tony, we obtained footage from inside the bus that shows that the bus was trying to run Trump supporters off the highway using curse words, explicit language, laughing, joking, mocking, intentionally breaking traffic laws, making fun of us.
Pause. All the more reason why we got to stay level-headed, people. Don't go get hot-headed. Because as soon as I see a hothead, as much as I can get a hothead, I'm like, that might be a Fed. Careful. Take deep breaths. 3 of them in a row, really slow, in and out.
Right. And you can't believe what you're being told. So mainstream media says we ran the Biden bus off the road. DNC lead plaintiffs in the case against Trump in Colorado, opening remarks say we forced the bus off the highway. These people aren't afraid to lie. These people are doing it willy-nilly, left and right. The reality is that the bus was never run off the road. And to clarify, once again, this is a civil lawsuit based on feelings. There are no criminal charges. There weren't even any traffic violations that day. They are running on a straight lie and the emotions of the American people based on the media perpetuating this narrative. And they hoped to fatigue us, squash us, emotionally deplete us, and financially ruin us in the process to secure a win. And when that didn't work, they tried to force us to settle. And then when that didn't work, their key plaintiff drops the case and walks away and says, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to trial. The dam is breaking. The truth is coming out.
Go. And to be clear too, you know, I have gay friends. I love gay people. I don't have an issue against that. It's our kids. You're poisoning our kids, not you. You know, the agenda is to over sexualize your kids.
Absolutely. I have gay friends as well who agree that this agenda is garbage.
I know.
And you know, I've got we lost a lot of Democrat friends and family when we got sued because they just immediately believed we were white supremacists and were like, oh, I didn't know you were a white supremacist. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But the reasonable, level-headed ones are like, this is wrong. This is wrong because this is a free speech matter. It doesn't matter who you voted for, what your flag said. If it was a rainbow flag and Trump supporters were suing somebody for the rainbow flag giving them emotional damage under the Ku Klux Klan law, can you imagine the outrage and the media coverage on that? It would be wrong no matter who is doing it to who. But because the left doesn't like what conservatives stand for, they champion this injustice, not realizing that it's going to come for them next if we're not standing in the gap to defend these basic rights.
Amen. So I have more questions, but I want to make sure people understand how if you're feeling, I talked about this with Sarah. We get it that right now, campaign season, everybody's asking for money because all of these causes, the left has this unlimited George Soros backed area of funding that the right just doesn't necessarily have. So unfortunately, what that means is the little people like us just have to get the spare change and do what we can where we can, and that will make a difference. So if you hear this story and you are feeling a tug on your heart, I'm going to encourage you to come alongside her, and no matter how big or small the donation can B, go to freespeechdefender.com and help her out. Are there other places people can find you, Joeylynn? Where can they follow along? I'm sure the media, well, I don't know. Do you think you're going to get a ton of media coverage?
Well, good. Thank you for making that ask for us. We know that it's hard in this economy, but even $5 has helped keep us in this fight. And we promise to be good stewards of every penny. It's like now or never. We're representing every American in that courtroom when free speech goes on trial before a jury. And we need the resources to continue this fight all the way to the Supreme Court if we need to do that. I have invited many, many media outlets to this trial, and only one has responded saying that they will send somebody, and that was the Texas Scorecard. And in the grand scheme of things, they are tiny, but they are mighty in that they are willing to cover the truth, and I appreciate that. My social media, my personal social media is my Instagram page, Joeylynn Masaros, and I often post there. Yeah, thank you, Joel. And I link to Free Speech Defender a lot of times so you can see the pertinent information. But if you scroll just a smidgen, you can see that we've got a prayer countdown that's going on. So I still need to post today, which is day 6 days till trial. But every day we post a different prayer. People can pray alongside of us. Underneath the number 7, there's information on attending the trial if people wanted to come and observe, because it is open to the public, but it is not televised because it's federal court. So we're posting important updates here. We plan to bring the American public on this journey with us. They've been in it with us, and we represent them. So on my social media, Joeylynn Masaros on Instagram is primarily where I'm most active, but you can find us at Free Speech Defender on X, Instagram, and Facebook. But our website, Free Speech Defender, is the best platform because it has the Give tab, so you can launch off to on the homepage, Joel, thank you. You can donate right there. There's also that video that you can share with friends and family, and then there's a write-up about what exactly is happening to us. What law is it? We kind of have everything there for everybody to use. And then the second tab is the Give tab, and we try to make it easy for people to support us. So some people want to use the fundraiser. That goes into a trust fund that our attorney draws from, right? That's our legal defense fundraiser. Some people want to do Venmo, PayPal. Some people absolutely don't, and they want to mail in a donation via check. We've got a PO box set up for that. So there are all the ways that you can give. And then we also have our legal updates tab, which is one of my favorite tabs because it just kind of brings you on the journey with us. So you can see major breaking updates. So if you just check back with us, and this will start to increase and pick up speed. For example, our jury selection is on Friday, so I'll be making a post about that, and then trial starts on Monday. And then after this is the prayer tab. So if you're not following us on social media, you can still pray with us on our website. We're posting the same prayers here, and they're relevant to our battle. But what we're learning from the American people's feedback is that they need these prayers too. Everybody has their own battle. Everyone has their own fight. And so praying this with us, in agreement with us, we're in agreement with you. And then there's, I believe, a shop tab, and that, Joel, if you click it, will take you to another website. But this is where we sell, Trump merchandise, T-shirts, ways that you can, necklaces, coffee mugs, hats, that kind of stuff. And we've actually got some Kamala merchandise that's going to be dropping in the next week. So keep an eye out for that. But really at freespeechdefender.com, it's the best way to keep up with our story, support us financially, pray for us, share this with somebody. And if we get deplatformed from social media, you can always find us here.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
can you tell she's done this a lot? freespeechdefender.com is probably your best place. I will admit, Joeylynn, I have not given to it yet. I'm going to do that tonight before my head hits
Tony,
the pillow.
thank you.
I know I don't have to, but it's just the point. Like, everybody has something. $5, $1, like $10. If you can give 50 to $100, great. Some people can give thousands. It doesn't matter. The Lord knows your heart. If you're feeling the tug,
thank you.
To do it.
Yes, thank you. They've got 24 DC attorneys and multiple nonprofits funding their lawsuit against a homeschool mother, a plumber, a pastor, his wife, a grandma, and a father.
So there's other people in the lawsuit with you. It's not
there
just you.
There are 6 people in the lawsuit. There are 3 of the defendants have managed to get either major donors to help cover their legal expenses, or one got pro bono assistance. And then Robert and I are 2 of them. So unfortunately for us, our legal defense fund is not completely funded, while some of the other defendants is. And so we are listed as a group, but we are defending individually. So It's, you know, we're rowing in the same boat, but not everybody wants to see a win for free speech rights. I think some defendants just want to see this be over. Not all.
And I get it. It's
but
hard.
Yes, it is hard. It is hard. And not all. We do have some that really believe in the Constitution and God-given rights and are standing firm and in the gap. And we're proud to be a part of that. But like I mentioned earlier, we've seen defendants settle, apologize, just want this to be over. And I don't blame them either. God gave us a fighting spirit in this, which is miraculous, seeing as we didn't even know what our basic rights were. I was a people pleaser. I was timid. I was afraid to rock the boat. I didn't want to offend anybody. I was quick to apologize. Even when I didn't do anything wrong, I'd do something and people would say, stop saying sorry. You say sorry so much. And so now I think it's hysterical that I'm like, I will not apologize and you're coming with me. So anyways, make God receive the glory. He has strengthened us and given us a voice and helped us find a purpose. And I just hope that we can inspire other Americans to learn, like Rick and David Barton will say, to know, defend, or I'm sorry, there's 6. It's like to learn,
yes,
teach, right? And then, so I just kind of summarize it.
Study, teach.
Yes. Thank you.
No, defend, assert.
And assert.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like in that order, right?
Yep.
And so we're at the asserting phase.
Yeah.
And so, but I want to inspire other people to know it, to learn it, to defend it. And then if they have to assert it, but to find courage in our story, because I think they expected us to roll over, to be intimidated, and to use us to intimidate other people. And so if we can stand on truth and wait for justice and watch God at work, then we can be inspired in these moments. We can link arms, lock shields, stand for what's right. And we have the privilege of being a part of that and enjoying what that victory looks like at the end of a long, hard journey. And so we're just proud to be a part of that and grateful to do it with the American people.
Thank you. And I don't know if she wants outed. So one of my Constitution coaches, I won't say her name because she has a different name and I don't know if she wants outed, but I know she is in the chat, is saying that who was the 29,000th Constitution coach? And I don't know if I could figure out who that is, if I have access to that, but I will take a look. And she's suggesting we give them a founder's Bible. I will make that suggestion, my dear. And then she puts, of course, everyone can pray. And exactly, that's the most important thing. We ask for that at Audit the Vote all the time. We
Amen.
need prayer more than anything because the Lord will supply our needs according to his riches and glory. So if we pray first, the funds will come. They will come.
Yes. Oh, somebody said they donated. Oh, thank you so much.
Stick that up there.
Gosh.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless you. I pray that God blesses you back tenfold with that. We are so grateful for every gift every single person gives us. We could not have made it this far. They literally would have won just from squashing us. But we're like patriotic cockroaches. They just keep trying to stomp us out and we just don't die. So thank you.
I mean, I honestly don't know, Joeylynn, if I would have been, I've gotten battle weary in my own journey. And if I had the chance just to get right out of it, like you did, I might have been like, I'm out of here. But teachable moment, read, study, teach, know, defend, assert. Defend is what they were doing for 3 years on defense. The reason we've gotten to where we are is you read the Constitution. Most people have no idea how many articles are in it, how long it is. Studying it, because it's not the easiest read on the planet. When I first picked it up, I felt like I was looking at Chinese. Like, what does this mean? 3/5 of a person. Maybe the Black Lives Matter people are right. They were slavery. What the heck is this? The class taught me so I could understand what the heck it was saying. So read, study. And this is, our founders gave us this roadmap. They said, this is how you keep the republic. You read and study and teach the Constitution so that the rising generation will know it. And by knowing it, they will better perceive when their rights are being violated so that they can defend, which is exactly what she did for 3.5 years. And the last step is assert. And that means, no, you see rights being violated. I don't care if you agree with what they're saying or not, but if their free speech is being encroached on, you go fight for them.
Amen.
I don't care if you don't like what they're doing when they assemble because they've got rainbows in the background. I will fight for that gay person's right to gather with their other gay friends. I don't care. That's what asserting our freedoms are. And that is what the government is terrified of, because that's when we, the people, come together, and they're done for when that happens.
Amen.
So.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I try to tell people when they're horrible, like there's this group of people that is unrelenting. They send us these postcards in the mail that say, Robert and Joeylynn, domestic terrorists. And then it's to our home. And then on the back, it's like, God doesn't love you. God doesn't care about you. God's not going to bless you. You're going to rot in hell, whatever, right? And they send these all the time. And then we get on our website, we've got the prayer tab, which we had mentioned earlier on our fundraiser. You can leave a prayer. Well, they love to leave messages for us on the prayer tab. We have thousands of messages from them, like F you, rotten hell, I hope you get raped and die, like horrible, horrific things. Thousands of them. And I'm like, you know what? We're fighting for your free speech to be able to say that.
Yep.
I am. And I am with the Lord. I'm getting right with the Lord on the fact that my worth and my value comes from him, and that your freedoms are not contingent on the way that I feel about them, because that is exactly what is happening to me. So anyways.
Yeah, we don't have to agree on all the nuances. We're not going to, but if we know these basic freedoms that our founders gave us in the First Amendment, we can be so much more effective together. And it brings unity, because you would never think conservatives like Joeylynn and I would say, well, gay people want to gather and they're being told they're gay, you can't gather. Her and I are going to be like, yes, they can. I don't care what they are. That's their First Amendment right to assemble, or whatever it is. Like she's saying, we're fighting for your right to be able to send us slanderous things, horrible things you can call us, but it's your right to free speech. And if you don't, you feel like you're being violated and you want to, that's a whole nother story, because you probably need to get right with the Lord, and that's a whole separate issue. But
right. That's right. And it's been challenging too, because people will say, well, you believe in free speech, but you want to ban books. I'm like, oh no, sir, no ma'am. It is a felony to distribute pornographic content to a child.
Yep.
That is not free speech. That is not guaranteed in the Constitution. That is not a God-given right. Like,
Amen.
Let's go. So anyways, talk about that intellectual ammunition. You have to know it to be able to have these arguments with people, or they will shred you. So sign up for the course.
That's the reason I took the class, because I was getting shredded. I was getting outspoken online and getting shredded. And I was
they will, because they're ready. They're waiting for you to say, and then they know how to respond. So then you have to really know it. So sign up for the course. Get that.
Oh my gosh, which this wasn't. I honestly just wanted to tell your story. I didn't intend for this to be any pitch for anything other than you and the story. And
I constantly pitch Patriot Academy, because it has formed our defense and the assertion of our rights. And without knowing them, we wouldn't have been able to stand firm and say this wasn't right. And so I just only wish I had known it sooner. And I can't get the information to other people fast enough. So I hope that it's always a pitch for Patriot Academy. That my story, my testimony would be what other people need to maybe hear to get that push to jump in and to learn what they didn't already know.
Totally. PatriotAcademy.com. There's tons of other resources we could talk about. I don't want to get into a ton of it just because attention spans are low. Joeylynn's, so you have 2 kids, right? They start school tomorrow?
I just have one. He's 14. He's grown like 7 inches since we got sued. But you know what? I'm so just, I love this kid so much. Oh, there's my baby. Joel, you are good. You are ready. That's Jude. He is going to be 14 while we're in court. His birthday will happen while we're in trial. He is my right-hand man. That's us leaving city council when he told the mayor he did not know how to do his job and did not understand the way that our founding fathers established government, and that they were trying to balance a watermelon on a toothpick, and it was not going to work. I was so proud of him. He's designing our new Kamala is the worst signs, where we used to have Biden is the worst. There's a sausage there because we're in New Braunfels with Worst Fest. And so we've got a 10-day salute to sausage. So this is my baby. And so he's too smart for his own good. He skipped 2 grades intellectually. And so he goes to a homeschool preparatory academy. And it starts tomorrow. So I crave these moments of normalcy. Like when he's playing sports, I just get to sit there and watch him. I'm thinking, oh, it feels good to just be a regular person. But the reality is that God has called us to more. And I sometimes think this has way more to do with him than it has to do with me. The same way I believe it has to do with the American people and nothing to do with me. God is shaping him into great things. And I saw the new Reagan movie. It was incredible. I bawled my eyes out from the start until the very end of the credits. But when they were portraying Reagan as a young boy, I think the reason why I was just, there he is with Carrie Lake. She spoke a good word over him. That when they were portraying when they were portraying Reagan as a little boy, Jude. It was just Jude, the way he was unafraid to speak the Bible verses in front of the church congregation. And I just cried my eyes out. So I believe God's doing great things in his life. And I just hope to be the mom that he knows will fight for him no matter the cost. Amen. It's a good kid right there. So yeah, so his first day of school is tomorrow.
Look at him.
That was at we had depositions in Washington, D.C. Some awesome truth came out there, and we were like, oh, very good. Well, we can't wait to use that against you in court, but we saw some cool stuff while we were there.
So all of that to say, I'd love to keep her another at least 30 minutes and an hour and keep going, but I think our better bet is to have you back.
Thank you, Tony. I would love that. That. We are so ready for this court case, and whether we lose or win, it'll be a load off, because even if we lose, we have already filed a writ of mandamus with the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and they have agreed this is a frivolous lawsuit and it should have been dismissed. They, in fact, gave us instruction to go back to our judge and file another motion to dismiss. We'd already filed 2, and they said, file one more time, a third one. He'll do the right thing and he'll dismiss it. And he did not. And so they said, okay, if you do not like the outcome that you get with the jury, you appeal that to us and we'll intervene. So we plan to take it to the Fifth Circuit if we do not win here, and we have great confidence in them that they'll do the right thing. And worst case scenario is best case scenario. It'll end at the Supreme Court of the United States, and it will set law of the land, sister. So let's rock and roll.
And that's what asserting your rights looks like. Mic drop. Boom. Right there. And that's why we're where we are, because we've had 50 years where people didn't know this stuff and didn't stand up and fight. So welcome to the party. Make saving the republic your hobby. Go to patriotacademy.com and do something. Even my partner with Audit The Vote, she didn't join us. She was on a bunch of other calls. She works for Cause of America, which is the Lindell's nonprofit, election integrity, lives it, eats, sleeps, and breathes it. And she actually developed a curriculum for kids to teach them the Bill of Rights.
I love that.
I know. She's got her own. I don't know what the heck her website is, or it's new. She just put it on a website. I will get it up eventually. But, you know, it's just amazing what Patriot Academy, and she'll tell you, if it wasn't for that, she would have never known. Like, and now she's put a curriculum together to teach kids, because she has 2 kids that are, let me not screw this up, 7 and 5. And my 3 are 13, 10, and 7. And so this is why we fight, folks. This is why we fight. The Hey, It's Not Me Who Donated said, fight, fight, fight. Exactly. And we have one of the best examples. He's not perfect. He's not our savior.
That's right.
We're not suggesting that he is, but he sure is a good heck of an example of a fighter. And that's what we need desperately in America right now. Joeylynn, last thoughts. This is way less emotional. Sarah, I wanted to cry and rip something apart. And this is a little less emotional, but not less impactful. So the floor is yours for the last thoughts before we close out.
Thank you so much. Really, I just want to thank you for using your gifts and talents to give us a voice. It has been a challenge to get this story out. It has been a black cloud that has followed our family around for 4 years, but also the biggest blessing of our life. We would not change anything for it. They cannot take our health. They cannot take our joy. In fact, we have more joy than we've ever had. And so 10 out of 10, recommend fighting for freedom, standing in the gap for other people and not bending the knee. And it takes people like you who are brave and willing to pursue truth and give people like me a voice. Otherwise, we would not have made it this far. And so I just thank you. People like you and people who donate and support us are our heroes. And we're doing it for the American people, for our children, for people we don't even know, believing that the same people who laid down their lives and fought for us to establish our freedoms here in America, the way they did that for us, we want to do that for other Americans. We were not a military family that served in that capacity, but we believe that if other people are willing to put their lives on the line, first, Jesus Christ, the ultimate sacrifice, and then others believe in that so much that they put their lives on the line, the least we can do is inconvenience ourselves and do our duty here in the United States, on the homeland, on the domestic side. So thank you for just making sure we're equipped in our fight, and we hope to celebrate a victory with you guys soon.
Fellow Constitution coach right there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania says, love you and thank you. She just wrapped up her first one at her church, where her pastor is super on board, said, yeah, you can have it, but I don't think anybody's going to show up. First night, 55 people in person.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Incredible.
And every single person loved it. I know they did.
They sure did. Son went to Dover, Delaware in the summer for Leadership Congress. I mean, it's just amazing the impact that we are having as a as a Patriot Academy family. So freespeechdefender.com. We will definitely, Joeylynn, have you back for updates. So as this is progressing, I guess while the trial is happening, you can't really do shows because you're
right. Yeah, it's actually, thank you for even asking that question. It's so inconvenient. We're having to go to another city. We do not live in Austin. We have to travel to Austin for 3 weeks for this trial. So we've got people who are helping us get our kid to school and picking them up from school, people who are checking on our dogs, people who are bringing us dinner, people who are going to go up to the courthouse with us to go help us get lunch, because we don't even get lunch breaks. We get one 20-minute break in the morning and one 20-minute break in the evening. So these are probably 12 to 14-hour days for 3 weeks at a time. My husband's missing work. I mean, it's overrunning our entire lives. This is their job, right? The 24 DC attorneys, this is their Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. This is our entire life. So it is already taking its toll. We're fatigued and exhausted already, 4 years worth, but we know that's really going to take its toll. So I don't believe there will even be a free second to do interviews. Not to mention, I think that for the fact that it's going to be actively in trial, at best it would perhaps be a vague social media update like day 2 complete. But once it's over, we'll be eager to give those updates out once we kind of emotionally recover. I know it's going to take a toll.
And it's 3 weeks. So we might not hear anything till the end of September, early October, just to prepare.
That's right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
She'll be fighting and keep it. And you guys didn't get to see that because it's an interview style. One thing about Joeylynn I love that you pick on really quickly when you get to know her or when you meet her in person is she says yes, ma'am, and yes, sir to everything. It's her Texas culture, super respectful. But it bugs me out because it's not normal, but it's so
not
like,
normal.
It's not normal for where I live, but I'm sorry. But it's so respectful. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm like, yes, ma'am. Maybe I need to get this lady up to Pennsylvania and like do more together. Oh, we'll stop.
I got spanked if I didn't say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. Like,
oh my gosh, we could talk for days. That's a whole nother tirade of issues we could go on. We could talk for days about that. Stick around for just a couple minutes backstage. Joeylynn, I just want to maybe pray over you and some parting thoughts and everything.
Yes,
and my audience, thank you guys for listening. I'm going to end the live stream. Share this, share this, share this. That's probably pray and share. Pray and share. If you can donate, do it, but pray and share. We got to get the word out. So
thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. We will keep you updated. Have a great night.
Thank you.